All right, let's talk about transaction expenses and lender expenses on the transaction object, how to manage them. So I'm here on our little demo account. I'm going to open up our test transaction. Let's start with lender expenses first. So the way you add a lender expense is you hover over transaction expenses and you click new and choose lender expense. Now, a couple important things to note here. First, you need to make sure that the account that you're trying to link here is a lender type account. So I think I may have a test. Okay, I do not have a test lender. This is perfect. I'll walk through it. So if you try to put another account here and save it, it'll error out and say that it's not a lender type. Okay, so I'm going to open it up and let's make a new one. Let's make a new lender. And I'm going to call it test lender. We'll walk through what you have here on the lender account. So basic information here at the top. What's important when you're creating a test lender is to add how much they have available to lend. You also will get an error message if this available amount is 0. So let's just put in $1 million for now. And I'll put in Bank of America. You can kind of put in 123 Bank Street, something here just for this sample. You can put in their preferred closing attorney or a title company. You can add their account and routing number and their bank phone number. The reason why we take this is when we generate a payoff statement, so that'll all be automatic. So let's just click new for save for now. Okay, and then let's say we're doing this at 1.10% APR. Let's say this loan amount is for $100,000 and the purchase date is Friday. We don't know what the payoff date is yet, so we'll leave it blank. Now click save, and there you go. Now it appears here, okay? If we want to go look at this lender now, I'm gonna click on the lender and click on the lender. And here is information. So let me move my little bubble. All right, so there's $1 million out and $1 million available in for a loan. There is $100,000 out, and then there is $900 available to lend. Okay, so if you try to link this lender, for example, on another loan for $1 million, it'll say that it'll give you an error message and say the lender does not have enough to lend, because it's pulling off this. So that little add lender expense is going to look at this field to see if this lender actually has enough. So you're going to see how much is out and what's available to lend, and use your little bubbles here to, to keep track. Okay. You'll also see on the lender account which ones they're out, what loans they have out for your transaction. So you see this guy has 1 loan out currently. See? And so we can click back into that, and then we can see some details here about this loan. Okay, you can see this the same way from transactions if you click on it from transactions. So here we get some information about the payoff, etc., the per diem rate. But let's just calculate, let's just say we're going to hold this a few months. I'll put a payoff date in here. Okay, now you're going to see how many days are held and what you're going to end up paying in interest. And if you want to generate a payoff statement, you can click this button up here, generate payoff. And there's your little document. You can print this out. You can save this to your files. You can send this via DocuSign if you save it to files. And then you can send it out, right, for a signature. So it's great because it gives you that little per diem rate and things like that. And that's where that bank information comes. All right. I'm just going to click back here. That's how you generate that payoff. And of course, you can change these things at any time. Okay. Click save. So that's the lender transaction. You can also create reports on this to see how much available how much available loans you have versus how much is out in loans. And that's kind of a quick and simple report. You do a new report. It would be an account type report. I'll walk through that really quick. We're going to show all accounts for this example. We'll say created anytime, because that really doesn't matter when the account was created. And we'll have the record type be a lender. And I want to see available to lend and then lender expense. I'm going to refresh here. Okay, so here we go. So let's see, I'll name this available funds or available private money. save. Keep that in my private folder so not everybody can see it. And then now you have a cool little report that you can add to a dashboard. So maybe I want to add it to my my simple CFO dashboard as an example. Click edit. Let's add that component, available private money. And there it is. Maybe I want to group it. You know, you can choose. All right. And then you click done. You can rearrange it how you like it. Just to go back really quick to this report, I generally like to group things so I can have a pretty graph. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to bring up, I'm going to group it by the account name. So I can see, you know, who, for an example, has the most available. And then now it's cool. Now I can create a graph. So I can add a chart like this and say, you know, maybe I just want, you know, a line graph or, you know, whatnot. How much do I have available? You can choose total amount versus who has it out. I like the donuts because then you can slice it based on the lender. You know, so maybe one lender has 50, one lender has 100, and so forth. And then you can get the total amount that they all have available to lend here. And you can do the same thing. You can switch this report so that you see, you know, how much is out currently in loans. All right. So that's a transaction expense on the transaction. Now let's go back real quick and we'll talk about the vendor expense. So vendor expense is a little bit more straightforward. You're going to hover over again and you're going to click new and you're going to click transaction expense. And similarly to the lender record type, this has to be a vendor record type. So if you try to put a lender in here, it'll error it out for you and say, "Oop, it's not a vendor or a buyer." So you will want to create one real quick. Let's make a vendor one. And a vendor account is essentially anybody that will have invoicing. So let me do test vendor. So this can be a title company, a closing attorney, a realtor, a locksmith, a demo crew, you know, etc. Right? This can be essentially anybody that you'd ever charge money to or you'd have an expense with. We have a couple kind of pre-built out types of expenses. This also can be added to in the object manager. You can add additional pick list items here. Let's say this is demo and I'm going to spend $1,000 on this prior to closing, demo, or let's say remove trash as an example. Okay, when I click save here, now again, this is going to pop up here so I can see, and this is in a different category, $1,000. And this is also calculating here on my total expenses for this deal. So this property was contracted for $145 and wholesaled for $150. We have a projected gross wholesale profit of $5,000, and then our net profit down here is $4,000. Did I say 5,000? I'm going to say 5,000, 4,000 because it subtracted out the $1,000 in expenses. And these commissions are being subtracted from the net profit amount, not the gross. So it's kind of nice. Okay. And same thing with transaction vendor expenses. Excuse me. You can click on these vendor expenses and see all the amounts that we've, you know, we've made them essentially, right? Like how much have they charged us? What the total expenses are. That's all here. All right, so this person, this vendor, we've paid $1,000 in total. But this is really interesting to see, you know, towards the end of the year, you may see, hey, we paid a demo crew, you know, $50,000. Maybe we should just have one on staff. Or, you know, we paid a title company $1 million, right? You can see what the total expenses are that you're having with the vendors, and that can help guide some decisions on who you want to keep in-house versus not, or maybe help you negotiate some better rates. So you'll be able to calculate all that here. And then again, you can kind of circle all the way back to your transactions. All right, and view it all there.